creatures need to obey. No one can survive without trusting someone they feel is better, more worthy than themselves. To avoid that responsibility, those who are worthy look even higher, searching for more superior beings. And those superiors do the same, looking for even stronger individuals they can believe in. That is how all kings are created. It is also how gods are born.
What's good? What's good, everybody? I want to do an intro. That'll be my intro for today. Uh, hey, we're back in here. It's been a while, but I had something here that had been on my mind all week. And as you see by the title, Embrace of Hate, we'll get started. I can think of no one better than David who this applies to in various stories in the Bible. He faced dislike and hate from his own relatives because of how different he was from them, not included in anything that was for the family, as well as from others as well. This goes to show that when you're set apart from everyone else, it's a state of being that you should embrace, because you should understand, as David did, that it is truly a blessing from the Almighty. So to illustrate this, we'll be going into 1 Samuel chapter 16, verses 14 through 18. Then we'll move on to chapter 17, and we'll go into verses 16 through 37, 42 through 49. Then we'll go into chapter 18 and go into verses 5 through 9, 20 through 29, and then we'll finish up in 2 Samuel chapter 6, verses 16 through 23. But I see y'all in here. What's good, Zone? Lawrence. Uh, so glad to have y'all in here, and we'll anybody else that comes in, hey, don't forget to hit that like button. Third Ward, what's good, man? What's good? What's good? Don't forget to hit that like button when you come in. Appreciate it. So let's get going and let's get started with it. So you got here verse 4, starting with 1 Samuel chapter 16. So Samuel did what the Lord said and came to Bethlehem, and the elders of the city came trembling to meet him and said, "Do you come in peace?" And he said, "In peace I have come to sacrifice for the Lord. Consecrate yourselves and come with me to the sacrifice." He also consecrated Jesse and his sons and invited them to the sacrifice. So it happened, when they had come, he looked at Eliab, the eldest son, and thought, "Surely the Lord's anointed is before him." But the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not look at his appearance or at the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord sees not as man sees. For man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." Then Jesse called Abinadab and had him pass before Samuel. But Samuel said, "The Lord has not chosen this one either." Next, Jesse had Shammah pass by, and Samuel said, "The Lord has not chosen him either." Jesse had 7 of his sons pass before Samuel, but Samuel said to Jesse, "The Lord has not chosen any of these." Then Samuel said to Jesse, "Are all of your sons here?" Jesse replied, "There is still one left, the youngest. He is tending the sheep." And before I continue, we see that Jesse had been told to bring his sons, but he left out David, who was the youngest and different and set apart from the rest. What's good, Hunter? What's good, girls? And he was purposefully left out. You can see it here. You can already see this discontent and this hatred of David and what he represents already here with his own, from his father and his brothers, Already you can see it here. And that's why I said, you should embrace this hatred that you receive. It should be something that should be embraced. Something that you shouldn't run from whatsoever. Moving forward. There is still one left, the youngest. He is tending to the sheep. Samuel said to Jesse, send word, bring him, because we will not sit down until he comes here. So Jesse sent word, and brought him in. Now he had a ruddy complexion with beautiful eyes and a handsome appearance. The Lord said to Samuel, arise, anoint him, for this is he. Now I want y'all to remember that when it explains here, these physical qualities of David is going to come in later now. Samuel then took the horn of oil and anointed David in the presence of his brothers. And the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon David from that day forward. And Samuel arose and went to Ramah. Now the Spirit of the Lord departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord tormented and terrified him. Saul's servant said to him, behold, an evil spirit from God is tormenting you. Let our Lord now command your servants who are here before you to find a man who plays skillfully on the harp. And when the evil spirit from God is on you, he shall play the harp with his hand, and you will be well. So Saul told his servants, find me a man who plays well and bring him to me. One of the young men said, behold, I have seen a son of Jesse, the Bethlehemite, who is a skillful musician, a brave and competent man, a warrior, discerning in speech, and a handsome man, and the Lord is with him. Now you see all of these qualities that was described of David. And, hey, look, hey, some would say, hey, look, it's just unfair, but hey, look, life is like that at times. It's unfair. David had all of these great qualities that was given to him by the Almighty. You see, he was born with it. And and you see that here that you can kind of tell that that's where this resentment towards him comes. So now we'll be moving into chapter 17, starting with verses 16 and continuing through 37. Oh, hold on. Let me go there. All right. Now, we get here, and verse 16 starts off, the Philistine, which is Goliath, came out morning and evening and took his stand for 40 days. You see here, for 40 days, he punked Israel. Then Jesse said to David, his son, take your brothers an ephah of this roasted grain and these 10 loaves of bread and run quickly to the camp to your brothers. And also take these 10 cuts of cheese to the commander of the unit. See how your brothers are doing and bring back news of them. Now, they are with Saul and all the men of Israel in the valley of Elah, fighting with the Philistines. So David got up early in the morning, left the flock with the keeper, picked up the provisions, and went just as Jesse had directed him. And he came to the encampment as the army was going out in battle formation, shouting the battle cry. Israel and the Philistines drew up in battle formation, army against army. Then David left his provisions in the care of the supply keeper and ran to the ranks and came and greeted his brothers. As he was talking with them, behold, the champion of the Philistine of Gath, named Goliath, was coming up from the army of the Philistines, and he spoke these same words again, and David heard him. When the men of Israel all saw the man, they fled from him and were very frightened. The men of Israel said, have you seen this man who is coming up? Surely he is coming up to defy Israel. The king will reward the man who kills him with great riches and will give him his daughter and make his father's house family free basically from taxes and service in Israel. Then David spoke to the men who were standing by him. What will be done for the man who kills this Philistine and removes the disgrace from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he has taunted and defied the armies of the living God? The men told him, that is what will be done for the man who kills him. Now, Eliab, his oldest brother, heard what was said to the men, and Eliab's anger burned against David. And he said, why have you come down here? With whom did you leave those few sheep in the wilderness? I know your presumption, overconfidence, and the evil in your heart, for you have come down in order to see the battle. What's good, Doug? What's good? But David said, what have I done now? Was it not just a question? Then David turned away from Eliab to someone else and asked the same question. The people gave him the same answer as the first time. When the words that David spoke were heard and the men reported them to Saul and he sent for them, David said to Saul, let no man's courage fail because of him, meaning Goliath. Your servant will go out and fight with this Philistine. Then Saul said to David, you are not able to go against this Philistine to fight him, for you are a young man, and he has been a warrior since youth. But David said to Saul, your servant was tending his father's sheep when a lion or a bear came and took a lamb out of the flock. I went out after it and attacked it and rescued the lamb from its mouth. And when it rose up against me, I seized it by its whiskers and struck and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, since he has taunted and defied the armies of the living God. David said, the Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear, he will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said to David, go, and may the Lord be with you. Now you see here, David let nobody dissuade him. He let no one shake his confidence in his abilities, regardless of what they saw and felt personally that he lacked. Whether it was Goliath, his brothers, and even Saul himself, he let them know that he was the one for the job. That if there was anyone who could do this, it was him. And regardless of his age, he had this energy about him that let him, hey, look, I don't care how you see me in youth, I'm gonna do this, and there's no one better for this than me. There's no one who can make this happen but me. I've come up against worse, and I've come up against worse. God seen me through that. I'll come up out of this too. Now moving on to verse 42. When the Philistine looked around and saw David, he derided and disparaged him because he was a young man with a ruddy complexion and a handsome appearance. The Philistine said to David, am I a dog that you come to me with staffs? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. The Philistine also said to David, come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the sky and the beasts of the field. Then David said to the Philistine, you come to me with a sword, a spear, and a javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have taunted. This day the Lord will hand you over to me, and I will strike you down and cut off your head, and I will give the corpses of the army of the Philistines this day to the birds of the sky and the wild beasts of the earth, so that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel, and that this entire assembly may know that the Lord does not save with the sword of the Spirit, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will hand you over to us. When the Philistine rose and came forward to meet David, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet the Philistine. David put his hand into his bag and took out a stone and slung it, and it struck the Philistine on his forehead. The stone penetrated his forehead, and he fell face down on the ground. and you see here, David is about action. He wasn't gonna let that big rascal get the jump on him. So he struck first, which when it comes to a fight, hey, it doesn't matter. There's no such thing as a fair fight. And we are talking about possible war here. When it comes to war, it does not matter who started it. Once it breaks out, both sides are at fault, and David took action into his own hands to make it come out in the best way possible for them. All right, we'll be moving on to chapter 18 of 1 Samuel, starting with verse 5 and reading through 9. And just so you know, I am reading from the Amplified Version. So starting with verse 5. So David went out wherever Saul sent him, and he acted wisely and prospered. And Saul appointed him over the men of war. And it pleased all the people and Saul's servants as they were coming. When David returned from killing the Philistines, the women came out of all the cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul with tambourines, joy, and musical instruments. The women sang as they played and danced, saying, Saul has slain his thousands and David his 10,000s. You see right here, a problem is going to start, because that's why it goes to show, just as now things are no different back then. These dudes are going to act a fool when it comes over validation from these women. It is what it is. Verse 8. Then Saul became very angry, for he was saying, for this saying displeased him, and he said, they have ascribed to David 10,000, but to me they have ascribed only thousands. Now what more can he have but the kingdom? Saul looked at David with suspicion from that day forward. When them hoes was singing, and they was singing praises, and they awarded David more, it was done. Saul, hey, that jealousy came in. Why he getting all these accolades from these women? I'm the king. But you see now that the favoritism is turning, the admiration, the respect, acknowledging all of that is turning now away from Saul. Now, going with verse 20 through 29. Now Michal, Saul's daughter, loved David, and when they told Saul, it pleased him. Saul said, I will give her to him, so that she may become a snare, bad influence, source of trouble to him, and that the hand of the Philistines may be against him. Now, there's something right here to also make note of, to keep in mind. So Saul said to David, for a second time, you shall be my son-in-law today. Then Saul commanded his servants, speak to David secretly, saying, listen, the king delights in you, and all his servants love you. Now then, become the king's son-in-law. So Saul's servant spoke these words to David. But David said, it is a trivial thing in your sight to become a king's son-in-law, seeing that I am a poor and insignificant man. You remember how I talked about how selective David was in his speech. He already, playing mind games here with Saul. And Saul can't even really see it. The servants of Saul told him what David said. Then Saul said, this is what you shall say to David. The king wants no dowry except 100 foreskins of the Philistines to take vengeance on the king's enemies. Now Saul's intention was to cause David's death at the hand of the Philistines. When his servants told David these words, it pleased him to become the king's son-in-law. Before the time arrived, David arose and went, he and his men, killed 200 Philistine men. And David brought their foreskins and presented every one of them to the king so that he might become the king's son-in-law. So Saul gave him Michal, his daughter, as a wife. When Saul saw and knew that the Lord was with David and that Michal, his daughter, loved him, Saul was even more afraid of David, and Saul became David's constant enemy. So you see, hey, this jealousy and this fear, it festered and grew and became more potent within Saul. And you know how he overcame the trap that he tried to have waiting for him to basically end David's life. Now, moving forward, here we'll be finishing up in 2 Samuel chapter 6, verses 16 through 23. And then I will, I already sent the link to the usual suspects. If they want to come up here and get in on this, we'll do that. If not, we'll just end it. But starting here with 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse 16. Oh, hold on. Went to the wrong chapter. Now we're right. Then, as the ark of the Lord came to the city of David, Michal, hey, I ain't never claimed to be no pastor zone. Michal, Saul's daughter, and David's wife, looked down from the window above and saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, and she felt contempt for him in her heart. They brought in the ark of the Lord and set it in its place inside the tent which David had pitched for it, and David offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. When David had finished offering the burnt offerings and peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of the Lord of hosts and distributed to all the people, the entire multitude of Israel, both men and women, to each a loaf of bread, a cake of dates, and a cake of raisins. Then all the people departed, each to his house. Then David returned to bless his household. But Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David and said, "How glorious and distinguished was the king of Israel today, who uncovered himself and stripped off his kingly robes in the eyes of his servants and maids, like one of the riffraff who shamelessly uncovers himself." So David said to Michal, "It was before the Lord who chose me above your father and all his house to appoint me as ruler over Israel, the people of the Lord. Therefore, I will celebrate before the Lord, yet I will demean myself even more than this and will be humble in my own sight and yours as I please. But by the maids whom you mentioned, by them I shall be held in honor." Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no child to the day of her death, and also no heir came, period, from the house of Saul after that. So whenever he gained all of Saul's wives, there was no offspring that was to come from them either. That's why when I've said before that what happened with Bathsheba, I ain't gonna sit on that. And also, hey, look, I ain't doing that prosperity preaching to try and get folks money either. But also, when you look at it, because of this moment right here, it sealed the fate of who the heir was going to come from, which was going to be Bathsheba. The only problem was how David handled all of that and how it went down. But you see here, through all these scriptures that were just read, how David, how he handled it, how he didn't run. He didn't run from this hatred and contempt that he got from others. He embraced it. He stood in the fact that he was different and that he was made and his purpose was something greater than theirs. He accepted it with all joy and excitement, which is why he has been said to be the man after God's own heart. Because even with his faults that he had as a human being, he was still a man after God's own heart. And he accepted and enjoyed the purpose that God had placed upon him. He didn't run from it. Neither did he try to please others instead of worrying about his own purpose that had been given to him. But any of y'all that I send out that link to that want to come up here and we can discuss this, hey, we can do that. But if not, we'll end it. But David is one of those guys. Is to me in the Bible, he's a treat to look at his story and his life, to learn so much. What's good, bro? How you doing? I know it's been a while.
Yes, it has. Can you hear me okay?
You're a little low, but I can hear you.
Okay, how about now?
It's better. It's better.
All right, adjusting the mic. So, shalom to everybody. Been a minute. Back in here one more again.
Yeah, we bike.
Yeah, we bike. No, I mean, as always, man, it's always good to hear scripture. If you don't mind my asking, just from a personal perspective, why was this on your mind the way it was?
I don't know. Maybe it's funny. Sometimes, especially from older ones, I can see and feel that type of discontent with my arrogance. I'm gonna say yes, damn it. As an 8-wing 7 INTJ, yes, I'm arrogant as shit. I'll admit it.
Well, I mean, arrogance. I don't know. Arrogance is such a subjective thing because it gets so easily blurred with just basic confidence and skill set. So I get what you're saying. I do.
Yeah.
But because I get accused of that all the time too. But it has nothing to do with that. It's just I know what I know.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, it's funny because it was a situation where I had somebody say, well, the way I do things, he's different, and I could tell that it was a slight at me. So being me, I said, no, I'm not different. I'm just better. I mean, that's why I'm just better. Because look, I'll admit, I've said it before. I chose this whole avatar and persona, the picture, the name for a reason. I ain't gonna lie. I get some fun out of, for better lack of term, fucking with people, especially when they want to fuck with me. I get some entertainment out of it, especially whenever I know what I'm talking about.
See, that's the thing, and I think because I'm pretty sure this is not new to you. You've probably been dealing with this since you were younger. Because I was dealing with it since I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Something's wrong with you. Why do you act different? And all that stuff. What's that? Lawrence is the philosopher lecturing in the book. It's good. I'm not even gonna touch that, little brother. I'm not even gonna touch that.
Black girls gotta have some fun.
Nah, I am not mad at that, man. Like I said, it's one of those things that like I said, you work hard to be good at what you do. You work hard to gain knowledge, and I think the problem is that it's not. It's people want you because of their insecurities to belittle yourself down to their level to make them feel better. Because if you remember a long time ago, I told you I used to have that problem with my sister for decades. And then one day I just flipped and I was just, it's like, you think you better than everybody. And I literally looked at her and I was like, yes, yes, I am. You and everybody else in this room. Yes, I am. I've proven it time and time again. I have no desire anymore to make you feel better for your shortcomings. And to add insult to injury, it's also one of those things where people, and we've seen this for like the last 2 decades,
Mm-hmm.
they like to change the meaning of words to be different than what they actually are. And again, that's to make themselves feel better, cognitive dissonance, or whatever it is. What's up, new?
Yeah,
What's
what's
up,
good,
brother?
new?
So and speak. I'm glad he's here too because, like I said, new and I talk a lot about philosophy and faith. And even though we don't agree 100% on everything, I will say this when it comes to what he follows. There is a great sense of importance and confidence in yourself to be able to walk that path. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
the average person would roll up on him talking about he's arrogant and etc. And that's not what it is. It has nothing to do with that whatsoever. Because in that respect, he's kind of similar with what you were saying with David. It's just that he's good at what he does. People get jealous of it because he might get more props than they do. But instead of picking themselves up and getting as good as he is or better, they just assume bring him down and try to work
Yeah.
behind it dangerously or evilly or behind his back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, it's a lot less work to try and bring somebody else down than it is to be better yourself. It's a
Yeah.
lot less. It's a lot less responsibility in that as well too. Which you learn that people, they don't want that responsibility. They don't
Well,
want it at
yeah.
all.
Oh no, no, yeah, absolutely. They don't want it at all. Look, yeah, we've reached a critical point in society where uh, we are the minority, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it in the sense that we will be. And I think New and I talked about this one time before on the phone. If it wasn't him, it was MOT. When it's all said and done, we will be the last people standing.
Yeah.
And that's not trying to tear anybody down. That's not trying to take away from anybody else. It's just that we're putting in the work.
Right.
We're
Right.
we're we're, we're we're doing what's necessary. And if you want to sit there and deal evilly behind our back, that's going to backfire on you
Yeah.
because again, it doesn't make a difference. Look, if you're a 5%er, you're a Muslim, you're a Christian, you're a Jew, you're an Israelite. One thing we all have in common: Murphy's law. The universe will come get you.
Mm. Anything bad that can't happen will.
Exactly. I mean, because that's. I mean, it doesn't make a difference what you believe in. We can all agree the universe gives back what you put out. And if you want to put that out, you're going to get it back, and it works just as normally. You get it 10 times in return, 7, 10 times in return.
and
You know. So
and
so 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 so. I'm sorry. So
you
my
good?
thing is, when it comes to us, and everybody in the chat and who we deal with, and in the space and all that good stuff, the solid men,
Mhm.
not males, the solid men. I no longer want us to make apologies for being good at what we do. I no longer want to sit around and have people talk us down because we're weird, we're this, we're that. You know what? Your perception of me will never be my reality. How about we keep it at that?
And one of the other things too that that was interesting that I wanted to point out in this whole thing here with David, and whenever he slayed Goliath, and the and the song that was sung, edging him out over Saul, and that validation, boy, that right there, that external validation is so much of a fuel and for hatred for inferior ass people, uh,
What
because
it's
they need it so much, and somebody who doesn't even give a damn about it because, like you and you were saying, you're confident in who and what you are, that you can be just as candid about what you have to say without worrying about the results or how somebody's going to take it, because you really don't care, because what you said is proven to be so.
Right,
And whenever when you got people that respect and like you for it, even though you're not trying
right,
you're not trying to sit up here and protest and beg for favors and and adoration from others, but you're getting that respect. You're getting like because of it, man. They just hate it. And that's why I say, it's something. That's something. Just embrace, embrace it. Don't even worry about trying
well,
to
it's a
please.
well, it's a combination of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's one, it's your confidence in knowing that you're good at what you do, whatever that may be, or however many things it may be. The other part is age, where that little bit of wisdom starts to creep up on you, where it's like, at the end of the day, I gotta do for me and what I need to do. What people think is irrelevant, because it's like the story I told you about my daughters when they were younger. And they would like have a moment where they'd be upset about not fitting in, and I had to explain to them the reality of things at this point in time. Being young, you everybody wants to fit in, but I promise you, you're going to reach a certain point in time where you're going to try your best to be different than everybody. That's just the nature of things. I mean, it's just how it is, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And some figured it out early, some figured it out later, some never figured it out at all.
Well, yeah, and then like I said, and it's funny because I've been thinking a lot on this over the last, I would say, 2 months, and I think I think for those of us who are here and others we could call out or name, I think we don't belong here. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but when it comes to the manosphere and stuff like that, we don't belong here because we don't we're not simps, we're not betas, we're not alphas. In my mind, I see all of us more like sigmas, if that makes sense. I'm not really thrilled about using labels. I'm really not, because they all suck to be.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
all
yeah. I don't even care
they
about the
all suck.
labels.
Yeah, they all suck, to be honest. But I'm talking in the sense of that, for the most part, we're lone wolves. We're okay standing on our own, being isolated, not necessarily having people around us all the time. We don't need that attention, that validation. But when we find others like us, we start building a community in and of ourselves, not on purpose. It just comes naturally because we understand each other. We talk in a shorthand that anybody else outside of it could not understand us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, no, it makes sense. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, people with common interests, they're going to ally. Uh, they're going to ally. Um, on
Yeah.
those common interests. It's just they're going to. It's just how it is. And
Yeah, because
you
you put yeah, I was
You
just going
does
to ask
bring
you to
up a
put out.
great point here.
Yeah, I was
Sir,
just about
some
I
folks
was
are Sigma, but most of us fall into hybrids,
well,
which I would agree.
yes. That's
I would
correct.
agree.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was about to ask you to pull that up, because that was perfect. That was perfect. That was perfect. But
Yeah.
like I said, it's that class, and I think New had said this before in one of our conversations. That one of the things that always have to be remembered is that, and he didn't use hybrid before. He used a different word. I can't remember what it was. But he did make a comment in one of our conversations where it all depends on the situation at the moment. Nobody's one thing all the damn time. It's an impossible thing to do. So depending on the circumstance, you'll be this one day, that one day, yada yada yada. And unless I misunderstood him, he can correct me in the chat. But that's what I got out of it, which I thought was perfect, to be honest with
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. And salute Rocky. Call of Duty athlete. That's your label. Okay, I got you.
you. Yeah. But you can tell because we've all started kind of like pulling back a little bit, not really wanting to be in be in that kind of space over there, talking about the same thing that's been talked about for 20 years. Nobody's doing anything. You put out information, people don't use it, yada yada yada. And we started narrowing it down to like who we really want to deal with, who we could deal with, and then just started making moves, you know. And I think in that respect, a lot of us are a lot like David. We're proud of what we are. We're proud of what we do. We're proud of who we do it for, whether that be for ourselves or for something greater than us. And we don't really care about anybody not liking it or trying to be sneaky behind our backs about it. It doesn't matter.
Right. I don't worry about it. I just do what I like and what I want.
Yeah, I mean, I look, man, look, the first rule for, and I think all of us would agree with this, man. One of the first rules is do no harm. As long as what I'm doing is not hurting nobody or taking away from somebody or invading somebody's personal space or whatever, it's all good. You know, because
Yeah.
that anything that falls after that is between your individual self and who you believe in. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So if at the end of the day somebody doesn't like what I do, my questions are the same. Did it affect you? No. Did I take something from you? No. Did I hurt you? No. Then it's none of your business. It's between me and the Most High. Leave it at that.
Right. Yeah.
You know. And
But
like I said, it does. And like I said, it doesn't make a difference what you believe in. For me, it's the Most High. For somebody else, it's Allah. For somebody else, it's Buddha. But at the end of the day, man, that's all we can. That's all we're called to do. To be quite frank.
yeah, yeah. Only thing to do is what the best you can with your own life, and just make the most out of those opportunities you get. Um, I mean, that's the only thing you can do, and just try, to maximize those opportunities and get more of them if you can. But
Yeah, and if you're lucky enough, you come across good brothers who you can work with.
yeah, yeah,
You know, and like I told somebody before, and that's not a requirement. That's just a blessing. You got to call that for what it is.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
there's
yeah.
no there's no requirement or law that says you have to have or you're supposed to have people who are going to go with you on the path or help you, etc. There's no requirement for that. So if you do get it, it's a blessing, and you have to look at it that way. And that's why I remember I think it was Smooth and Aegon when I was talking to them one time about you got to understand how friendships work. You know, because I can't remember what they were talking about, but they were saying something and I just totally disagreed with it because friendship, a, a lot of males treat friendships like relationship having with chicks, and it's not supposed to be like that.
Mm,
Does that make sense?
yeah. No, no,
Because
no.
no, because I've seen that a lot. You know, and I hear a dude talking about, yo, my man, yada yada yada, my homie, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, dude, you're talking about him like that's your chick or you his chick. That's not how relationships with men are supposed to be. It don't work that way. You know what I'm saying? I said, look, look, if New and I get on the phone and we get into an argument and he curses me out, I expect about 2 weeks to go by and we'll pick up the phone and be like, yo, what's up?
Yeah,
No, because when men build relationships, they're supposed to be more than something than something that's fragile. You understand what I'm saying?
yeah.
There's,
Well,
there's there's supposed to be that space in between where we can curse each other out and still be good, where we can disagree 100%, still be good. You know what I'm saying? Shit, probably even punch each other a couple of times, still be good. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, but like I said, when you listen to a lot of dudes nowadays, it sounds like they talk like they arguing with a girl or something. Like, dude, you're two dudes. What are you doing? Oh, I
well,
ain't talking to that motherfucker. He yada 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 yada. Dude, that's bitch shit.
the one thing I learned when you basically talk about that, it's gonna fall in line with what I'm saying. When you have people that bring up this fucking word of loyalty, what it basically means is basically servitude to their own personal to their own personal desires, and it's never about a reciprocation of them doing it for you. It's about
Right,
their own
right.
personal their own personal what they're going to get from it personally.
Yeah. Now, if you look at what, yeah, if you, now what New put up there, I see that he's absolutely right. But at the same time, sometimes there's never a right or a wrong. It's just a different thought process,
Yeah,
and that's okay. But at the end of the day, you don't break up a friendship because of that.
yeah.
And then if you look at what Rocky put afterwards, where he says, yeah, yeah, that I'm telling you right now, that's true. I've done that.
and, and then also on that comment that New had made, sometimes it what you're in an argument about, there's just a conundrum that the problem is you're both right, and there's probably not going to be a solution for it. You do have those problems in life.
Yes, I
Um,
mean, dude, sometimes there's just no answer. That's why we have the whole phrase agree to disagree. That's the whole purpose of that phrase.
yeah. And to Hunter's statement, your success in life will expose who your real friends are. Your failures will as well.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes,
both
sir.
both will expose. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And if you remember, it was a couple of years ago, but I remember I told you, but something I had told the girls when they were younger. There's the right answer, the wrong answer, and no answer at all. And
Hmm.
sometimes, if you're not careful, you can make all three at the same time.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Yeah.
So,
And that's the
you know,
thing that you begin to see that some problems are so big that the truth is there's not going to be a solution to it except for until we're all gone.
that's true. That's true.
That's the only way
And
the problem is going
yeah,
to
see,
end.
but see, there's another perspective to that too. Cause like, say you and I are having a conversation, a discussion about something, and we are like knocked down, drag out. Nah, you wrong. Fuck that. Yada 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 yada. Here's the thing: whether I'm right or wrong, whether you're right or wrong, here's the big question: does that affect who we are with each other?
Mm,
If you called me in the middle of the night and said I need help, I'm still driving there. I mean, you understand what I'm saying?
yeah,
So you gotta have a certain amount of, I don't want to say maturity. I just don't have a better word right now. But a certain amount of maturity where you got to realize that some of the stuff we argue about don't mean nothing at the end of the day.
yeah.
It really doesn't. Yeah, it just doesn't matter at the end of the day a lot of times.
Mhm.
So, and that's what a lot of brothers fail to understand. Sure, get down, knock down, drag out. That's the best part of being tight with people. You can be yourself. You can say what you got to say. You know what I'm saying? If it cuts, it cuts. If it don't, it don't. But you still good tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, just like when we're on streams together and stuff like that. Now, nah, man, you go ahead first. Yada yada. Yeah. As men, it's important to me that we know how to talk to each other. It's important that we know how to deal and relate with each other.
Right, right.
It doesn't have to be, ghetto, if that makes if that makes sense. you know,
Hey, I'm just gonna go ahead and say, look, you can't get rid of ghetto with niggas.
but that's my point,
Yeah,
because in my mind, when I'm thinking about us, at least in the concept that I think of the word nigger, none of us are niggers.
gotcha, gotcha,
Because in my mind, niggers are ignorant, stupid people, and I don't think anybody here is that. I don't.
gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. And
You see what I'm
just,
saying? So,
oh my bad. I was gonna
no,
say the shot to News point, three sides to a story. Yeah, I've heard that one before. Your side, their side, and the truth.
yep.
I would say there's at least three sides to the story because hey, you got some people they can make up they can make up some extra sides.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could. They really could. They really could. But like I said, as far as it goes for the David comparison, man, I think to some more, some less, but to a large degree, I think all of us fit into that. It's just that we need to handle it the same way he did. Okay, we say whatever you want to say, but it doesn't mean anything. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? My purpose and my power comes from someplace other than you. Piss off.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Rocky. Courtesy and goodwill. That's yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. But yeah, that's what I want, courtesy and goodwill. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we're gonna go out there and find all these dudes. I'm only talking about like who we've connected with
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
from being in this space. Because I got to be honest with you, man. I've shut the doors big time. I got nobody new coming in. I'm done.
Or even outside of the space.
What actually that's what I'm
Out in
talking.
real life, yeah.
Yeah, that's what actually that's what I was talking about out in the
Okay.
real life. That's it. I'm done. I'm tapped.
Yeah.
I'm tapped. I'm tapped. And like I said, from what I've been seeing, like I said, just watching people outside in the world and how they deal with each other, men to other men. It's what's no ninja moments? I don't know what
No
that
nigga
means.
moments.
Oh,
That's
okay, yeah, yeah. But like I said, we're men, and we're passionate. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? But at the same time, we can be passionate. Like I said, we can be knocked down, drag out with each other. That don't mean shit. But like I said, if you my brother, I can curse and fight you all day. But ain't nobody else coming up in here to do it. Fuck that.
Yeah. 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 I
Yeah,
get
well,
it.
I saw you. I saw you punch your brother in the face. Okay, well, that's me and him. But you ain't gonna do it. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you stay over there.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna stop in the middle of fighting him, and we both gonna whoop your ass. That's just how it's gonna be. That's just gonna how it be. And after we done, we gonna get up. We gonna go to a bar. We gonna call New and Hunter and Rocky and Curls and everybody else, and we gonna sit around the bar and laugh about how we kicked your ass. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I said, then and like I said, that's how it's supposed to be. At least that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I could fight with William all day, every day, but I'd be damned if somebody else is coming in to do that shit. It's not gonna happen.
Right. No. Yeah. No. Get it. Makes sense. But yeah. Man. Hey. It's been good to be back for this one. We ain't gonna be here long.
Yeah, this was fun.
Huh?
No, I said this was fun.
Oh yeah. Most definitely. It was definitely fun. But heck, we're almost at an hour. I think we hashed out the embrace the hate all we can.
Yeah.
And hey, when we get some more stuff, we'll definitely have another one. But hey, I like to keep things short and simple as much as I can. So you got any last thoughts before we get out of here, bro?
No, same as always. Be good, be safe, keep your head up, man. Stay out of trouble, and it's been a while, but I'll say it. Hashtag men first. Real
Hey.
men. Real men. Let me clarify that. Real men.
That's funny. And y'all know me. Hey, don't be a hospital gown nigga. I'll let y'all.